It begins with the paradox. The most sophisticated encryption device of the 20th century, an electromechanical marvel guarded by the Reich's most disciplined officers, was not defeated by armies or air raids, but by a handful of civilians working in wooden huts that smelled of damp paper, tobacco smoke, and overworked machinery. The German Enigma machine, whose constantly shifting ciphers were believed unbreakable by every Abwehr cryptographer, met its undoing not in a fortified laboratory, but in a cramped compound in the English countryside, powered by tea kettles and relentless human will. The irony was staggering. The Reich trusted mathematics to preserve its empire, yet it was human intuition that dismantled its secret codes. When the Wehrmacht marched into Poland in September 1939, its divisions were directed by wireless commands encoded through Enigma. Each machine contained a set of 3 rotors, later 4, each with 26 contact points wired differently, generating 17,576 possible starting positions per rotor. Multiplied by rotor order and plugboard configurations, the total permutations exceeded 150 quintillion. German operators were trained to change settings daily at precisely 0000 hours Berlin time. Even if Allied intelligence intercepted every message, deciphering one would have required an army of mathematicians working for centuries. The system was flawless in theory, but theory does not survive friction, error, or obsession. The first cracks appeared before the war began. In 1932, deep inside the Polish Cipher Bureau on Pirie Street, mathematician Marian Rejewski used permutation theory and a set of stolen German manuals to reconstruct the wiring of the early Enigma. With a team of 2, Jerzy Różycki and Henryk Sigalski, he built a mechanical aid called the Bombe cryptologiczna. Each machine cost 15,000 zloty and took 6 weeks to assemble. By 1938, they were reading up to 75% of German army messages within hours of transmission. Yet when Hitler annexed Czechoslovakia and introduced new rotors, Poland's progress stalled. As German divisions mobilized in the summer of 1939, Rejewski packed his notes into sealed crates and fled to France. His work would soon resurface under British command. By 1939, Britain's Government Code and Cipher School, GC&CS, was relocated from London to a Victorian mansion called Bletchley Park, 47 miles northwest of the capital. The estate's outbuildings were converted into huts, each serving a specialized function. Hut 6 for Army and Air Force Enigma, Hut 8 for Naval, Hut 3 for translation and intelligence dissemination. The first winter was brutal. The heating failed often. Operators wore gloves indoors. Ink froze in wells. Yet inside these draughty rooms, a revolution in modern intelligence was quietly forming. When Polish cryptologists arrived that July, carrying their wooden mock-ups and cipher sheets, Commander Alistair Denniston realized that Britain's war would be fought as much with circuitry as with artillery. Alan Matheson Turing entered the scene that autumn. A 27-year-old Cambridge mathematician with a stammer and a peculiar gait, Turing approached Enigma not as a linguist, but as a logician. He wrote in his notes of November 1939, "The problem is not the German language, but the machine's habits." He designed a new mechanical device called the Bombe that could test thousands of rotor positions simultaneously by exploiting repeated message openings known as cribs. Built at the British Tabulating Machine Company in Letworth, Hertfordshire, each bomb contained over 10 miles of wiring, 108 rotors, and ran on a 5-horsepower motor, spinning at 1,720 revolutions per minute. The first prototype, nicknamed Victory, was operational by March 1940 and could process a key in roughly 20 minutes, a task that previously consumed entire days.
German confidence remained absolute. In a 1940 Abwehr training memo recovered after the war, Oberst Erich Feldgiebel assured operators the Cipher system of Enigma remains unbreakable. Enemy interception may occur, but not enemy comprehension. Feldgiebel, OKW Communications Division, January 1940. Captured document. The British, meanwhile, read their first Luftwaffe decrypts in May during the Battle of France. One message revealed an attack schedule against Allied columns near Arras. British armor repositioned in time, saving 2 divisions from encirclement. By July, decrypted Enigma traffic identified Luftwaffe target lists over southern England, allowing Fighter Command to scramble before radar even detected the raids. The men in the huts were now shaping battles. Still, the work was grueling. Each day brought 3,000 intercepted signals from Y stations across Britain, Egypt, and Gibraltar. Operators at Bletchley logged them onto punch cards, their fingertips blistered from repetitive keystrokes. The air in the room hummed, remembered code clerk Joan Murray. The machine sounded like heavy rain on a tin roof. You didn't talk, you listened to rhythm. Murray, Hut 6 Diary, August 1941. Every decoded message was stamped Most Secret, Ultra, couriered to Whitehall in locked canvas pouches, then paraphrased before distribution so that frontline officers never suspected its true source. The German Navy proved tougher. Admiral Donitz's U-boats used a separate Enigma variant with an extra rotor, dramatically increasing cipher complexity. In February 1942, the addition of a 4th rotor rendered all existing bombs useless. Convoy losses surged. 627,000 tons of Allied shipping were sunk that spring alone. Panic rippled through Bletchley. Turing moved to Hut 8, working alongside chess champion Hugh Alexander and engineer Gordon Welchman to redesign the bomb with triple the processing drums. By late 1943, 210 such machines operated across Britain, devouring 2.5 megawatts of electricity daily, enough to power a small city. When the new Navy bomb Agnes cracked a 4-rotor key on December 13th, U-boat wolfpacks suddenly found convoys diverting hours before contact. Donitz raged in his diary, "There must be treachery in our command structure." Kriegsmarine War Diary, December 14, 1943. Beyond machines, human error remained the greatest ally. German radiomen often reused keys or signed messages with predictable phrases, such as Heil Hitler or Alles gut. These repetitions gave Bletchley's analysts anchors to align rotor positions. Even coffee stains on cipher sheets revealed operational habits. Certain units always transmitted at dawn, others at shift change. By 1944, analysts could often identify entire divisions by their transmission rhythm alone. The process became industrial. Messages were logged, sorted, cross-referenced, and output to intelligence summaries at a rate exceeding 10,000 decrypts per week. The data fed directly into strategic planning for D-Day, guiding naval minesweeping routes and paratrooper drop zones with uncanny precision. For the Germans, Enigma remained sacred. When Allied propaganda hinted at broken codes, Berlin dismissed it as Allied bluff. "Our communications are secure as steel," declared Goebbels in a 1943 broadcast. Yet steel corrodes under pressure. By spring 1945, decrypted Enigma traffic exposed retreat orders from the collapsing Eastern Front, intercepted by both British and Soviet liaison teams. Some decrypts even guided bomber raids onto rail junctions hours after German officers telegraphed their own withdrawal plans. The machine that once synchronized conquest now broadcast its empire's disintegration.
Inside Bletchley, exhaustion was constant. Clerks worked 6-hour rotations around the clock. Cigarette smoke stained ceilings. The clatter of typewriters merged with the low rumble of bombs in adjacent huts. When the war ended in May 1945, more than 9,000 personnel had served at the park, yet the public remained unaware. The Official Secrets Act forbade disclosure for 3 decades. Even Churchill, in his post-war memoirs, only alluded obliquely to the secret weapon of intelligence that had shortened the war by 2 years. In retrospect, the story of Enigma's defeat is not about machines alone, but about the invisible architecture of intelligence, the intersection of mathematics, discipline, and moral endurance. Against 150 quintillion possibilities stood a handful of minds who refused to accept impossibility. German spies believed their empire of numbers could not be breached. They never imagined that in a small wooden hut, under flickering lights and rain-streaked windows, the gears of a different kind of war were turning faster than any rotor they had built. Because in the end, the Enigma's secret was not that it was unbreakable, it was that the Germans never expected their certainty to be their greatest vulnerability.